This video is part 2 of a previous video. Check out part 1 if you want. The sauce begins with a flashback of Futagawa beginning to tell Otsuka something after the events of the last chapter, but we don't see what he says. In the present, he wakes up and realizes he overslept after looking at the time. On his phone, he receives a text from Otsuka, wishing him good morning and reminding him that today is both his birthday and his first date. She reminds him to not be late. We see that earlier she had already wished him a happy birthday and suggested that the two of them go on a date to celebrate. The two of them haven't seen each other since she graduated. As he walks out the door, Futagawa reflects that their relationship was supposed to end when she graduated, but it's still going on. He makes it to the meeting place and wonders if he, a man nearing 30, shouldn't be dating a college girl. Luckily, he's far away from his school, so there's no risk of his students seeing him. He keeps worrying about the fact that he's dating his former student, who is 11 years younger than him, and gets embarrassed when he remembers the last day they saw each other. He's thinking to himself that he can't imagine what she currently looks like when she shows up behind him. They greet each other, but Otsuka insists that he call her by her first name, Miyako. He says no, and that her aura's changed. She says that this is her first date, so she made sure to look good for it. They start their date and walk around, reminiscing about the past. While she talks, Futagawa lists the things different about her, such as her wearing casual clothes and a new hairstyle, making her look like a college student. He thinks that she doesn't look how he remembers her. She notices him staring and asks why. He stutters, and she asks if it is because he's thinking about naughty things. Flustered, he reminds her that they're outside in public. She whispers in his ear that she's thinking the same thing, then says she's just kidding. Futagawa gets upset, saying she's the same brat as ever. After seeing him get upset, Otsuka says that she was initially nervous before seeing him again, but is relieved to see that he hasn't changed. As they continue on with their date, he asks her how college has been, to which she says it's been great. People usually don't group up more than they need to, and she likes that school doesn't give many group activities. He concludes that she must be alone in college, to which she says to not put it that way. He came to that conclusion based on what she was saying and how she acted in high school. To his surprise, she admits she's made some friends. She says she was worried that she'd be alone in college, but she met a girl in one of her classes that she became friends with, and she then became friends with her friends. She adds that they invited her to join their club, but she's still unsure. Futagawa then has a flashback to before, when Otsuka tells him that being with him is where she belongs. He spaces out, and she asks if he's paying attention, to which he asks her if she's enjoying college. She happily says yes, and that she's having a lot of fun. He's happy at her answer, glad that she found a place where she belongs. Their date continues, and as they're walking around, she says there's an event at an exhibition for a manga Futagawa likes to read. She notices that he seems to be acting differently, and asks if he's feeling well because he looks tired. He says he's feeling fine, and they wonder if it'll rain because it's getting cloudy. Suddenly, it starts to rain. They take cover, saying that the forecast said it would be sunny all day and that it's like they're connected with rain. He looks over at her and notices that her clothes are all wet and looks away. She then proposes that they go somewhere to take a bath and dry their clothes. It cuts to a hotel, with Otsuka taking a shower. Futagawa is waiting in the room, thinking that he knew this would happen. He thinks about how she asked if he wanted to take a shower together, but he told her off, and he thinks that waiting for her to finish is nerve-wracking. She comes back into the room after her shower, wearing a bathrobe, and says how nice the shower is. He gets embarrassed looking at her, and she asks if he wants a peek. He says no and goes to the shower. After he leaves, she picks up a bag. In the bath, Futagawa thinks that Otsuka looks nice, and that college really did change her. She has friends and might even join a club. When he thinks about her joining a club, he says that the people won't leave her alone, and that she seemed to be happy. He thinks that she'll find a good boyfriend soon, so he wonders what he's even doing here. She only loved him because he was the only place she felt she belonged, but now she has even more options. She's still young, so she will change and eventually find someone she loves and choose them over him. Their relationship was a one-time thing, and he got carried away when she graduated. He ends his thoughts thinking about what their relationship really is. He leaves the bath and goes back into the room, apologizing for his long bath. When he sees Otsuka, she's wearing her old school uniform. She says it's his birthday surprise and that she's surprised it still fits. He stares at her, silent, eventually laughing. He says that her going to a hotel and cosplaying as a high schooler seems like something she'd be into. She says he's wrong and thought he'd enjoy it, but he says that he's a teacher, so it'd be bad if he enjoyed it. He admits it is nostalgic and says it was also raining on graduation day. She talks about the first time he held her and how her heart still races when thinking about it. She wishes him a happy birthday, and they kiss. They then do Doujin things in the hotel room. Afterwards, they notice that the weather is now sunny, and Otsuka says that the weather seems indecisive today. He asks her what she means by that, and she says it's nothing. He stays silent after that. She gives him his birthday present, which is a pen. She wanted to give him something that would be useful at work, but is also sad that she couldn't afford a pricier gift. She offers something else instead, but Futagawa instantly shuts her down. She says that she took out money for the day but ended up spending it all on him. He says that he can't have a student be spending money on him, thinking that it must have cost a lot. She says it's fine and that she'll get a job and save up for next year. He tells her to not work and study at the same time and that he's glad she planned the whole day for him. He says her gift will save him a lot of ballpoint pens and thanks her, using her first name, Miyako. She blushes and then uses his first name, Kuta, which also makes him blush. He turns away, and she says that calling him by his first name has a different feeling, so she'll keep calling him Sensei. She smirks at his reaction and teases him for his response. She calls him by his first name again, and he says to not tease adults. We see a couple of slice-of-life panels of them, one where Otsuka teases Futagawa about her clothes. He tells her that they're out in public and it's not the right time to make these jokes. Suddenly, a gust of wind hits her, and she gets embarrassed over it. He says that this is what finally makes her embarrassed and that it's refreshing to see. She gets mad and says of course it would. Another story is Futagawa inviting her over to his apartment for the first time. He feels weird about it because she is a former student of his, but she says that his apartment is a mess and that he needs to clean up. She goes through his manga and starts reading it. One night, Otsuka is staying over at Futagawa's apartment. She tells him that it's time to go to bed and hugs his pillow, saying the bed and sweater are filled with his smell. He tells her to not sniff them. He gets nervous at the situation and wonders why he's holding back. They're dating and he's already done it multiple times already, but he doesn't know what to do as a teacher. He imagines that she'll coerce him into it anyway. She asks him what's wrong and says to hurry up so they can sleep. He gets in the bed and faces away from her, trying to sleep. She asks him why he's turned that way, and he says it's easier this way. He thinks to himself that he's pathetic. Part of him is still hesitant about the relationship because of how he thought in the past. He realizes that it's rare that she didn't try anything today because usually she always does. Suddenly, she presses up behind him, saying it's cramped and she can't help it. She says the truth is that he really wants to do it and calls him out on being nervous for having her over and how he even took a separate bath. She teases him, calling him a coward. He gets up and gets angry, saying that he is indeed a coward. He questions how she can act the same in a situation like this, to which she responds that it's fun seeing him react like that. She hugs him and says that she is also nervous about this, saying it's expected to feel this way when spending the night with someone you love. They then do Doujin things. Afterwards, he says that he'll try as much as possible to change, so he can be truthful about how he feels. She thanks him, but thinks it's too out of character for him to be honest all the time. She says it's okay to be who they really are around each other. So if he wants an excuse to be honest, she'll give him one. He blushes and thinks that maybe he'll keep being swayed by her from now on and that she's really dangerous. Let me know what you think of this Doujin.